Hey guys, it's Rob here. Just first of all wanted to say thank you guys so much for 1800 subs. That's absolutely insane, and if you like the content, please hit the sub button because 2000 is right around the corner. Here's the inventory we're going to be using for today's Inferno example, and as you can see it's a budget setup with a tbow, so it's a good setup to use if, say, you were lent a tbow and you didn't really have a lot of other gear in your bank. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it and hope you guys enjoy. So first things first, as always, if you're brand new to the Inferno, you really want to take 8 brews instead of 7, so just keep that in mind here. The more experience you get, 7 becomes a bit more of an option, but when you're starting out, probably just bring an extra brew instead of a restore. We need to drop a restore there just so we have a room to unequip our shield, just because the shield gives a negative magic bonus. And we're just going to talk about things as they come up, as always. It's kind of just going to be very familiar for those of you who have seen my previous videos, as I say in every video, but hopefully those of you who are new, you guys will enjoy learning the fundamentals of it, basically, which is what I plan to show the most. So obviously our gear setup is a lot cheaper here. You could obviously use amethyst darts and amethyst arrows. I'm just showing off dragon darts and dragon arrows because honestly it just saves us some time in the run, so I felt like that was pretty worth it. Obviously prayer regens, you want to take 3, or you could also take 4, that's also viable as well if you want to have a slow cape. But 3 is really all you need, especially with a tbow. But altogether, tbow cape, not too crazy different from a Bofa cape, you'll see. Especially with this gear not being the max gear, it really won't differ too much from a Bofa cape. So definitely still worth learning, still worth watching this even if you're learning with a Bofa, obviously. And Tzhaar we will be using the same strategy as the Bofa cape as well. I just love our fake ranger boots. So here we want to move into the blob here in this position. This is the best way to kill the blob when it's in this position. So you're going to see that many times during this, so that's just the first time, but anytime the blob is in this corner, we're always going to run into it, and then we're going to return to the start tile to begin every wave. Always want to be praying overhead either mage or range at the start of every wave, depending on which wave it is. On blob waves, it doesn't really matter. Although I like to start pray mage just because oftentimes a bat won't see you immediately, and then you can just switch to pray range, so that's a really nice little tech. I'm so excited to be back, making another video. It just, I don't know, I've been having such a rough time in life, so like, it just means a lot to be able to be here and make a video, and hopefully some people enjoy it. So I'm very, happy to be back, happy to be making another one. And I want to apologize to anyone who was expecting a Cox Friday video. I'm gonna put that on hold for the foreseeable future until I decide what to do. It's not going away forever, but I do have to decide what I want to do going forward with that. And really, my Inferno content is definitely my favorite thing to make, so just want to make sure I'm continuing that no matter what, because I do love making these videos. The Inferno is like definitely my favorite content in probably the whole entire game. Honestly, I don't know if there is like, I like amethyst mining, don't get me wrong, but Inferno's a little bit better, I think. It's a little bit cooler, just a little bit. Wins by a little. So wave 7, there could be 2 blobs that see us at the same time here. We're just going to back around the corner and change our prayer. We can just step out, don't really think too much, as long as you're praying against like one of the blobs at least. We ended up praying against both, which is nice, but as long as you pray against one. Can always heal up at the end. Here, in theory, we want to kill the blob on the other side, but because there's 2 blobs, I said this in a previous video, it's hard to explain this, but essentially, even though there is a better spot, because there's 2 of them, it just makes it very hard to do it without taking damage. So you kind of have to take a little damage there, and then we can heal up off of this one here. This is the spot you always want to kill the blob on this side, so on the west side of the pillar, you always kill a blob like this. Because now we can just pray range against the range, which is very, very convenient. Very much likey. So we always put our mage gear on and just click back to the start tile, so keep it really simple. Especially on the early waves, you just want to keep it simple. And when we're on the start tile, we can always move very easily around the pillar to go to safety. So yeah, nothing really to speak about on these waves, but yeah, again, just thank you guys for all the support on my videos. I mean, I still, you know, to this day, I say it like in every video, but I just don't know what to make of it. It's absolutely crazy to me. And I'm just like really appreciate all you guys who have supported me. Anyone who's commented, like people who have commented saying they got their first cape from me, that's like, you know, the highest honor I could receive. So, you know, definitely hit me with that comment if I've helped you get your first cape. But yeah, man, I'm just really, really excited to make another video, to say the least. So we have 2 minutes on our prayer regen. We definitely want to be keeping that in the back of our mind. We want to make sure we're re-prayer regenning. 3 prayer points is always a good thing. Always good to be on the safer side with prayer. Don't have to do things perfect on these waves. We just have to be ready to pray against a blob and trap a meleeer here. So the meleeer gets trapped just because it's spawned south. So most of the times if the meleeer spawns south, it just automatically gets trapped if we're standing on our start tile here. So I'm just praying occasionally against the blob. You have to time it a little bit after it attacks, so a couple ticks after it attacks, then you have to change your prayer. It's not a precise timing, so lazy flicking is definitely what you want to do on these earlier waves, just to take some pressure off of you as a learner. Definitely know how to one-tick alternate though. As I say in every video, I'll say it again, but definitely know how to one-tick alternate. One-tick alternating at its core is just flicking back and forth. Just range mage every tick, so like this. And then to put it into practice, you have to pray basically against the big monster, so the ranger or the major. So essentially, if there's a range on a blob, you look at the ranger's attack cycle, and you want to pray range on the tick the ranger attacks. Here we're just praying against the blob, so see, we don't panic, we just kill a bat, and then we're killing the melee, and we're praying against the blob as soon as we can. If we took like one more hit, it would be alright, because we still have 81 health, which is plenty left over. Just want to keep praying against this blob. If we took a little bit more damage, you could brew on these waves, and that's again why the 8th brew might be good for a learner. So keep that in mind, I would say. Definitely consider an 8th brew. Don't try to be like me necessarily. I worry more about running out of prayer and then needing to flick at the end, which would, in my opinion, suck a lot more, so... That's the way I see it, at least. And here we just want to make sure we pray against a blob off rip. Here we can kill the bats. I would say the easiest solution is just keep flicking the blob. Don't even worry if the bats hit you, just keep flicking the blob. It's okay, the bats are gonna die eventually. Make sure the bat dies, and you can also use a blowpipe spec if you need to. End up blowpipe spec in the nibbler there, but that works out. It's still a good thing to blowpipe spec. Anything with low defense is good to blowpipe spec. Pretty much guarantees you some HP back. Low HP would be pretty much anything really other than the meleeer, although the meleeer is still fine to blowpipe spec. Really just not the mage. Jads are not the greatest, although you can in a pinch. Obviously, if you're in that situation, if you're considering it, you may need to. Here we change our prayer because the mage is the last one alive. A lot of times we can finish it off with mage, although mage is a little bit inaccurate against that mage bloblet. Here we prepare because there's 2 blobs on this wave, so we want to at least pray against one of them. That's a little scary, so I'm just gonna back around the pillar. You should know you can drag this meleeer around the east side of the pillar, so this far side from our starting tile, basically. This far side you can drag the meleeer around. Notice I pray the blob there, but even if you miss a single prayer, that's okay. And here we just step into the melee range for it to prevent it from digging, rather. Words are hard today, man. But we'll get there. The early waves are always scuffed. Don't worry about it. As long as the late waves aren't scuffed, that's all we care about. So here we're just praying against both blobs. It seems like super hard, but it's really not as bad as it looks. Here we're just praying against the back blob. We don't care about the things in front as much. Just keep praying against the back one. And then we can kill this mini blob. finally we can drag this guy in, and you want to do this like, if you're ignoring this nibbler on the pillar, you want to just do everything, you just kill everything on the pillar within reason as fast as you can. Obviously don't, don't die trying to kill stuff fast. It's not like a super speed run, but like in here I'll even blood barrage just because I want to blood barrage. But actually, that being said, this is like the last hard wave for a while, so it doesn't even matter if we're full health. A lot of stuff early on doesn't matter too much. Don't overthink it like I am. Don't do what I'm doing. Don't overthink. Well, I mean, do what I'm doing, but you know what I mean. So we have a couple of pretty easy waves ahead. So there's like Ranger, and then there's Ranger and Bats, which is all you can just pray range against. So a lot of pretty chill waves. So early on, nothing to worry about until you get to like, 29, 30, 31, 46, 47, 48. Those are the ones you gotta watch out for. And I would say in general, don't worry about keeping an overhead prayer up. Really doesn't really drain that much prayer, so it's probably better just to keep it up. Wow, that did not kill a lot of them. It's okay. Dude, I don't even know, like, I know it sounds like I'm just like going on about that every single video I make, but like I'm just so grateful for like anyone who's actually like watching and enjoying my content. Like I'm just so happy. I don't know. I know it's silly, but I keep mentioning it, and I don't know, it's just something I think about a lot. I'm like, dude, how do I have so many people sub to me? It doesn't make any sense. Like I'm just here making videos, dude. It's crazy. But yeah, no, I just, I appreciate you guys. That's all I'm saying. The other thing I appreciate is the cool weather. I think I mentioned this in a previous video as well. I really like the, I like the fall and the winter basically more than the summer. So I'm very happy with the recent weather. It's like around 60 today, 60 Fahrenheit. So don't know what unit that is. I mean, don't know what degrees Celsius that is, but very nice weather. Very excited to take a walk later. So make sure you get a walk in if you enjoy this kind of weather. And if you don't enjoy this kind of weather, maybe try walking in it anyway, because maybe you do enjoy it, you just don't know it. Just saying. Just putting that out there. I love taking walks in the cold, man. like even in the cold, I don't know, I'm crazy. Anyway, back to the Inferno. So the next wave is the first wave where we would reasonably expect to have to one-tick alternate, because it's Ranger and a blob, so just be ready for that in your head. Like 21, we might have to one-tick alternate. Not even have to, but sometimes it's just the easiest. Like I'll show you, in most cases, if they can both see me at the same time, like we can just start one-tick alternating. Make sure you're doing it off the Ranger. Now, the thing is, it's a little hard to kill this nib, so we're gonna kill the nib and just go around the pillar here. Because another thing I like to preach is, when we don't have to one-tick alternate, we're not gonna one-tick alternate, so we're just gonna continue on with things. Make sure you're comfortable as soon as you see the Ranger's attack cycle start, you're comfortable getting into this one-tick alternate cycle. That's the most important thing to know. And then once you know how to do that, you can do it whenever you need to. Just make sure you're lining up with the Ranger or with the Major, and make sure you're familiar with their attack cycle and how it looks like visually. Hopefully that kills the mage. Nice, okay. So make sure we're praying range at the start of every wave. And obviously mage at the start of every wave later on. We can kill this blob in the corner and move in like we were showing earlier. So every time the blob is here, we're pretty much going to move in like this. And you're going to see throughout the waves, and especially into the later waves, we're going to tend to hide around the north side of the pillar. It's one tick to get around the pillar like this from our starting tile, so it's very, very quick to get to safety if the north side of the pillar is safer. There's only a couple of spawns, like 1, 2, 3, that can technically see you north of the pillar off spawn. And then there's this 4th spawn that'll get corner trapped here if you move to the corner trap tile here. So that's how we deal with a lot of things 60 plus. We move to this tile and that deals with that 4th spawn. So there's 3 other spawns that can possibly see us. This is a very easy spawn because the blob is isolated, so we can just kill the bats here, and then kill the ranger even, and then kill the blob. And obviously the blob on the east side, we want to kill on the north side and move in like I was showing. And if we always do that, we're just going to save a lot of health in the long run. And make sure to always reprayer regen, of course. So 24, bit of a scary wave coming up because it's 2 blobs and a ranger, so the likelihood we're going to have to 1-tick alternate is pretty high, higher than normal. Okay, that was not ideal, but we can blood barrage a little bit off of this thing. So here, easiest solution obviously is just move here. We want to kill this blob first. We can move in here. It's not completely necessary, but we'll just make sure that these things are lined up behind the pillar. Otherwise, the ranger would have been corner trapped there, and then we would have had to deal with it a little bit while we deal with these bloblets. So moving in a little early, it meant the blob had a chance to hit us, but it made our life a little easier because we could just isolate everything. You know, the blob melee attack... Oh, I didn't mean to take a ranger hit there, but the blob melee attack isn't, like, super dangerous. You don't want to take it a ton if you can avoid it. You know, but in a case like that, yeah, that's like a niche case, I guess. Doing a live commentary Inferno run is kind of crazy when you think about it, just because of how long it is. Like, I still think it's crazy, but I don't know, I still prefer doing it live instead of doing a post commentary for the Inferno videos. I might eventually try like a post commentary on an Inferno. You know, maybe if it's like a PB run or something, like where I just can't commentate during the fact, but yeah, I just really like doing this live for some reason, especially in the first cape kind of sense, because it's nice to show my thought process, I feel like. Try to show the most important things off. So as you can see, right after a double blob waves, it tends to get easier because usually it's easier to deal with 1 melee than it is to deal with 2 blobs, so... A double blob wave is usually followed by some easier waves, which is a nice little break. You see, we don't need to equip our Crystal Shield yet. Crystal Shield really only comes into play come the mage waves, because then you have to pray mage, and then your range defense obviously matters a lot more. That's also why the Granite Ring is good, because for those later waves you have to be praying mage, so that's why range defense in the Inferno is so important. The mage waves where you have to pray mage are like by far the hardest, especially the, you know, the 60s obviously. I did, you know, this wasn't like the first Inferno I've done in a while though, because I did de-rust the other day. I did do 2 Infernos. So, did de-rust. This isn't like the first Inferno ever I've done in months or something. Also, I have so many brews left, so just keep in mind if you have all your brews left, you don't have to be afraid to use them, especially if you haven't gotten far. Like, if your PB is, like, not very high, make sure you're using all your supplies, you know? Like, if your PB is Zuck, then obviously you can be a bit more conservative, but if you've never gotten to Zuck before, then definitely use all your supplies. You know, if you haven't gotten to Zuck, bring 8 brews instead of 7. You know, bring, instead of 1 less, you know, 1 less restore, 1 more brew, and then just make sure you're using all your supplies. Because you want to get as much experience as you can, as much exposure to the later waves as possible. So 27, you know, that's 2 bats, pretty easy. 28, you know, that's where the blob comes back, so that's a little scary. Now, obviously, like, you probably don't have this memorized, so just play it safe every wave. You know, some waves will just seem, like, very easy. Those will probably, you know, you'll notice, though, like, if you pay attention, you'll know, like, how the waves are going. So, Here, pretty easy, we can just trap this meleeer on the pillar like we have been. Just kill the meleeer. So it always gets trapped on this pillar right here if we're anywhere near our start tile. Don't really worry about conserving prayer here too much in terms of the overhead prayer. Just make sure you're not camping like rigor or eagle eye too much, because that'll waste a lot of prayer. But as long as we're not doing that, we can pretty much use our overhead prayers as we want, as long as we're not like wasting too much time. But again, if you bring 4 prayer regions and you play super slow, that would also alleviate that, so it is up to you in that case. It just, I like the idea, like it sounds really nice to do such a chill inferno. In these videos I'm always kind of rushing through it, because it's like, if I didn't rush through it, it'd just be too long of a commentary. I don't even know what I'd talk about for that long. It would be way too long. The nice thing about the tbow is that it'll at least be a little faster than the bofa. Not by as much as you might think, though. Now here, you could one-tick alternate, that's probably the best solution, but I'm just going to show off the kill the melee solution, so here we do pray rigor, actually. Notice how we're full health, so we can easily do this. You probably want to do this before I even did it, too, like, make the decision even faster. If you see a melee and a blob north, you can just do this pretty much every time. You're really not risking much. I was going to say we didn't even take damage, we took 1 set of damage, which is like, whatever, we can even blowpipe spec now. But that's pretty much always a solution you can do, especially the faster you make the decision that you see that solution and you just commit to it, the better off you'll be, essentially. So that's my that's my solution for blob and melee north. You can just solve it like that. Now it gets a little different if there's 2 blobs involved, then you got to be a little more careful, but here you see we change our prayer back to mage because the mage usually lives, so just something little to keep in mind. Here, everything on this side of the pillar, because the blob is isolated, everything else is going to be range, and then the melee is going to get trapped here. So it looked a little scary at first, but then I realized because the blob is trapped, we're all safe here. Don't even need to one-tick alternate, so it should be a very easy solve. Here, I'll probably return north of the pillar, kill the blob first. This Dragon Hunter wand, I wonder how expensive this is. I don't know if I can check with the price checker or the examine, I don't know. Oh yeah. Oh, almost 10 mil. But it's like 10% magic damage, which is really, really strong. Especially for a learner in the Inferno where you might have to heal up a lot. Very, very strong. Very worth for the Inferno, 100% worth the cost there. Aram Stop is very strong too, makes us hit the Mage Bloblet more, which just allows us a much chiller time. And then, so now there's 2 blobs, we gotta be a little careful. This is gonna be a one-tick alternate angle, so we're gonna look at the Ranger here. So ideally we always want to be ready to one-tick alternate. Don't even have to look at the blob, we just know it's solved just because we're doing this, and just make sure we're staying on the cycle here. Now, the melee is something to keep in mind here. So the melee is going to dig. We can just do the blob melee solution again. You know, you might miss some of those things, it's okay. Just probably spec this melee here. This is what I would do here. Literally, this is what I would do here. Took a couple hits, but we'll be okay. Pillar's taking a little bit of a beating over there, but it's just 1 nib, so we will be okay. We will Blood Barrage the Nibbler. We'll try to pray against this blob once. You know, if you don't do this perfect, it's okay. But we just want to start killing it here, and then we're obviously going to Phantom Barrage to try to heal up. And then the rest of the waves coming up are not as hard, so not as dire as it really looks, even if you took a bit more damage. Make sure we're praying range, of course. And just remember that most of the melee spawns on the south side get corner trapped. Well, not corner trapped, but they just get trapped on this south side of the pillar here. Something I haven't mentioned yet, because it just hasn't come up yet, we've just been able to kill every meleeer off in time, so it hasn't mattered, is if a melee digs and we're here, we can move around the corner on this line, like this next row over. So anywhere, if the melee dug and we were on the start tile, and we moved here, it would be safe over here. So it's a corner trap that you can use, which is important for the later waves as well. We just haven't even seen it once this time, so you know, this run's just been going so smooth, what can I say? Nice easy inferno. Let's get over to the start tile so we're all ready. And make sure you're drinking water, of course, during your inferno. You know, this place is hot, so you need to stay hydrated. Here we can do cheats and wait a little bit, and then we can get all of them, but you don't have to do that. You can just cast twice if you need to. Yeah, so far, so good. I haven't even used a brew, and I mean, we have plenty to use, so if we need to use a brew, we'll obviously use it. Even if it's a wave we don't expect to have to use a brew on, can definitely just use a brew if needed, because as long as we have a couple left, you know, I'd say like having 2 or 3 left for Zuck would be probably the bare minimum I'd want. And then, you know, obviously, if you're in a run, like, don't give up because you have not enough, like, just keep trying, but it's not worth giving up because you feel like you don't have enough supplies. Especially if you're still learning. If you've made it to Zuck 10 times, it could be worth resetting, but yeah, you can't go crazy with it. Like, if you use some supplies, that's kind of what they're meant for at the end of the day. So make sure you're praying mage. Okay, thankfully it didn't hit us for that hard. If you feel like it, you can lazy flick rigor, but it doesn't really matter. It's up to you. It's pretty break even on prayer points. I'm gonna do it a little here just because I just feel like saving a little bit of time for the sake of the video, or I was gonna say viewer, but yeah, I guess both worked. So just make sure you're praying mage at the start of every wave, and the annoying thing about the mage waves is that the back can see you on pray mage, which is kind of annoying. But anytime the mage is north like this, it's very nice, because we can usually just kill the mage. Mage first is usually good to kill, just because the mage has a 1 in 10 chance of reviving every time. Like, if anything has died, it has a 1 in 10 chance of reviving it every time it attacks. So it's very useful to kill it first when possible, although on a first cape it's not as dire. You can kind of just kill stuff if you need to stay alive, but a blob is usually bad to kill first anyway. That's why one-tick alternating will often be a good solution if there's like mage and blob north. Like, I'll probably just one-tick alternate for that reason, because just the best option there. Killing the blob first is ill-advised. Here, we'll just kill the bat. I mean, I could have avoided killing the bat by dragging the mage in like this, which is probably what I should have done, but whatever. Not the biggest mistake, not the biggest mistake. One bat respawn. They respawn on half health as well, so in reality it's not as big of a mistake as it might seem. But we are first caping. I'm in the first cape mindset. If I need to brew, I'm gonna brew. Make sure we're prayer regenning when it runs out, keep that in mind. The Bastions don't come into play until about wave 60 or so, so we're not even gonna touch those until then. For now, we just keep killing stuff and keep taking safe solves and make sure we brew if we need to, basically. Keep using restores as needed. Here, if we wait a little bit, we can get all the nibblers there. It's just a little trick. And then this mage, the mage that spawned in that spawn can always be dragged towards you so that you can hit it from the north side of the pillar like this. So because I moved to this corner tile like this, it dragged the mage in, which is important to note on these waves. It gives you a free solve a lot of times. So a lot of these little bits of information, you can put them together to get solves when, you know, when the going gets tough and it seems impossible, you can like pull a trick out of your book. You go, oh yeah, like I can still hit the mage from here, and then you can like finish it off before the melee digs or something if there's like a melee on this wave or something. You know, and you could avoid some situations that might otherwise be pretty bad. So here, make sure we change back to mage prey, obviously. Don't want to get, you know, don't want to be missing mage praise against the mage. That's not a good mistake to make. Here, we're going to wait to just see how things stack up. I think, well, we'll have to, what we can do is we can just pray mage and then go over here and then pray range. So this way we just isolate the bat there, and then we can kill the mage now. Do you guys like my ranger boots? I freaking love my ranger boots, dude. They're like such a cool item. Actually, they're Pegasians, come to think of it. Yeah, my bad. What am I talking about? Who's using ranger boots in 2025? Actually, it's not even... Yeah, wait, actually Pegasians are outdated too now, crap. Damn, I'm too old school now for this. I'm too old school for old school now. We could just kill the blob. It's actually, this is kind of dumb. We should probably just kill this thing and then kill this on the right spot, because it's probably good to do. Probably good to actually finish the nibbler here. And you see, when you have HP to spare, when you're high HP, you can kind of afford to take a little bit more damage, you know, like in doing those things, like things that I do to like save the pillar or something. I can do that a little more freely when I'm high HP, so that's why it's important to stay high HP. Make sure you're like healing up to full at the end of the wave like this. Pretty much every wave. Because it just gives you leeway. And also Crystal Shield is probably good to use now. We can actually use it to avoid having to like pray against this blob at the beginning a little bit. Be careful there. I almost missed a mage flick, but I didn't. But I almost did, so just be very careful. So we're trying to pray against the blob here. We're gonna cast against this. We're gonna pray against the blob one more time. Kill the bat. Pray against the mage. And hopefully kill the mage, and then we can kill the blob and hopefully heal up. Obviously, you know what, not even, I'll just, y'all use a Brutos, you know, using a Brutos is fine. Just to make sure we're getting pretty close to full off of the blob healing us at the end. And as we're getting to the next couple waves, also that gives us some defense, which is just kind of a nice little boost. You know, you don't want to necessarily waste it just for that, but if you're already like a little low and you want to nudge yourself in the right direction on HP, then you can use a Brutos on these waves. It's not like a huge deal, especially if you have all of them left, you know. It's definitely worth it. Alright, so we're gonna kill this bat, and then we're gonna heal off of this blob, and then hopefully everything's gonna be good. We'll even use a blowpipe spec, just get every little bit of healing we can. Changing our prayer every once in a while. Alright, nice. We're good on HP. Pray mage here. Okay, if you don't know how to... Okay, yeah, so we're gonna be careful. This is a little bit sketchy, actually. Because we're full health, we have, like, a little bit of leeway to do this. We're actually just gonna pull this in. We're gonna move back here. We're gonna pray rigor for the defense. This is, like, a very sketchy situation, listen. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And then we're gonna start... finally one tick alternating when we feel comfortable against this major. Now we're actually gonna like wait to restore. Wow, there's a plane overhead. I don't know if that was audible. Wow, this is a very rough wave. Alright, so we want to heal up as much as possible. We're just praying against the blob here, and then gonna move here in the meantime. Finally, we should be good. So we're gonna kill this in the corner again, and everything will be back to normal. And again, it's a double blob wave, so the melee wave comes after, which is technically easier. Still high enough mage level to cast our spells, so it's not a huge deal. Can actually Phantom Barrage that there, which is kind of nice. It's a little pro tip. Here, there's not like a super easy way to kill the mage first, so we're gonna just kill the melee first. It's kind of what I was saying before about like kill order. It's obviously better to do the mage first, but it's a little difficult in this situation. I say that as I killed the mage first on that 2 blob and mage wave, but whatever. It's fine. That was like probably the worst possible 41 spawn, I would say. Just about. Don't have to do that, just preventing it from digging to make sure we don't waste any time. Little details. Here, we'll just chill here. We're gonna have to pray against the melee here because it is gonna come around. We can kill the bat. When we're tanking a bat, we may as well pray Rigor just to kill it faster and help us tank it a little bit. Make sure we turn it off right away after. We can save this now. Just getting a little bit low, but nothing tragic. And we can move back to the north just so in case this respawns anything, we're in a nice position. Listen, if you're a first caper and you're watching right now, you can 100% do this. I mean, maybe it won't look exactly like this, but I think using a lot of these strategies make it pretty easy. At least a lot easier than people would expect, I would say. Pretty chill, pretty chill. Just make sure we're returning to start tile. Probably Crystal Shield here on these waves. In this case, we can just pray range because there's nothing else to pray against other than the bat. And it's better just to go here. This bat will actually come around, but it'll get trapped on the pillar, so allows us just to kill the mage first. If the bat did somehow see us, we could just kill the bat and then kill the mage. Melee digging could technically be a problem, so I guess we will flick Rigor here just to try to prevent that. Alright, so obviously if you had a Bofa that would be cutting it a little close, but turned out to be okay. This is a blob wave again, so make sure we have our crystal shield on just in case we have to tank a blob hit, actually. That's probably the proper advice. And if you want to just be safe, you can flick Rigor just to try to make it so you don't have to deal with the melee and the mage. You know, here I'd probably move to the west side of the pillar, and then you could one-tick alternate the mage and the blob. The melee would be trapped on the north side where you are here right now. So that's probably the solution I would go for here, so I'll show that. So just make sure you're looking at the mage here when you do this. So that's what I was paying attention to the most there in that moment. The attack cycle of the mage, so when it flickers you have to have Prey Mage up, and then you want to be clicking Prey Range on that tick when you see the flicker. A little difficult to explain, but here we're gonna just kill the melee, and we can kill the blob in the good spot. Make sure we're prayer regen, and we're gonna pick up our restore that we dropped earlier, since we got the space for it. Alright, we got a tough couple of waves coming up, so we're gonna definitely lock in. We'll put our crystal shield on every wave just to make sure in case there's like a bat that's gonna hit us, it's not gonna be too crazy. Here we'll go around and pray range. This would actually corner trap the mage, and I've mentioned this before as well, but here it's very important that you move north so that you don't uncorner trap this mage. That way when the melee digs, we can re-corner trap it just by moving one south again. Like into the pillar, we'll just re-corner trap the mage. This is very important to note, especially for a lot of the harder waves. It'll just give you a really, really easy way to solve. So here we move back and then we just pray melee again. And very easy solution there, as you can see. Now just to be proper, we can just make sure we don't uncorner trap it just in case it were to respawn a melee again and do the same thing, so we just keep doing the same way. It's a good habit just to always do this just in case you need to re-corner trap it. Taking a blob hit by accident. Hit a 1, which is very humble. Very humble indeed. Just wanted to say kind of randomly that there's definitely no need for dragon ammo. You can definitely do it with just amethyst if you wanted, so just putting that out there for anyone who was wondering. I'm just using dragon just to save a little bit of time given that I'm in like a pretty budget setup. Here, kill everything, kill everything strategy. And also use your blowpipe specs. If this blob does too much damage to us, we just heal up. We're probably just gonna heal up with a brew. We use 2 doses, and then we're gonna kill this melee. So we're gonna go around the pillar, pray melee, keep our rigor on until we are in like a stable situation. It doesn't even matter that our gear is like not optimal. Here we can pray against that blob, but we're 98 HP anyway, obviously, so not that big of a deal. Hoping to maybe kill this before the melee digs, hopefully. Just have a nice easy time. Okay, obviously don't want to pray too much rigor here. I want to be a little conservative. We still have quite a ways to go. Not the, not the best gear in the world, but not bad by any means. Got a lot of range defense and prayer and stuff, so really not as bad as it looks. Although, I will say I like the look of the blue d'hide. We'll say that. Big fan of the Tzhaar d'hide. Just saying, just saying. It's the best. No, I'm kidding. Well, actually, no, I'm not kidding. No, I'm not kidding. It's the best. But I love my ranger boots though, just saying. Alright, so there could be 2 blobs here, so we're just gonna pray against the blob, and then we're gonna go to 1-tick alternate on the north side in a sec here. I'll be honest, like, a little nervous about the melee situation, so we will pray rigor here. As long as you're not wasting it when you don't need it, you can use it when you do need it, is kind of how I like to put it. So see, I turn it off here. Pray against the blob one more time, and then we will spec here. And then heal off the blobs at the end, and then that was a pretty successful 48, I would say. You know, it's like we took a lot of like off prayer hits, but ended up being totally fine in the end. Kind of reminds me of like 41 that we had. Whoops. Alright, so obviously don't want to do that, so hopefully we'll heal a little bit here. Okay, so back to the starting tile one last time, and then at 50 plus our start tile changes. So here again we have that thing where we drag in the mage. Don't need to pray rigor here, but it just makes it go faster, so why not? Flicking it like this only on the tick that your tbow fires is a lot different than keeping it up, by the way. There's like a big difference in the prayer drain, so just keep that in mind as well when you're watching this and you're thinking about how much prayer I'm using. Making sure they don't dig again, just saving ourselves a little bit of hassle. And yeah, successful waves 1 to 49. So now we're gonna start on this new start tile, the Calvino tile. So make sure we're starting with our D'hide body on for the extra range defense, and then we're just gonna keep it on. So here we move to this side, so only the mage can see us. Yeah, I wish these things would die. Jeez. Okay, so anyway, we drag the mage in, and then we kill the mage. Because when we can, we're gonna kill the mage first pretty much every time. Doesn't change any on the 50 plus waves. Typically, the ranger is similar to a blob in that you don't want to kill it before the major most times. So just keep that in mind as well. Obviously, most of the time we're gonna kill the rangers and the blobs last. Kill the mage first when we can, but you know, mostly just like the melees and the bats, you can kill them to simplify things if you need to. Everything else try to keep for last. And we can move to this corner trap tile to deal with that spawn I was talking about before. I think I just stacked them. Yeah, I think I made them stack instead of going side by side, which actually is just a little annoying. Here we can hit this from the north side like that by going all the way north. Little trick there. And then here the back monster always attacks first. And then if the mage respawns something, it stays in the same cycle. If you wanted to, well, if there was a blob in the mix here, you could one tick alternate. So as long as you pray on the tick the ranger and then the major, and then you just do it again. You do range mage, range mage. So you could do this if you needed to. But if it's just range and mage, you can just be lazy with it as well. Make sure we prayer regen, because prayer is like somewhat of an issue. Keep in mind we have like pretty good range defense. Don't tank things for like too long if you don't have to, but we are good to do a little bit of tanking. Accidentally dragged the bat around there, which just means I have to kill it here. Yeah, and it's kind of hard to when you're starting out, but try to not worry too much about like running out of prayer. As long as you're not doing anything like bad with your prayer, then just don't worry about it. Honestly, just like you just gotta kind of keep going and just know that you know what you're doing is fine, basically. Because otherwise, you're gonna like panic and do weird things with your prayer and like miss prayers against big things. And yeah, just try not to worry too much. Like keep an overhead up, and other than that, just try to solve the waves the best you can. Your easiest is just the one tick alternate. So we're looking at the mage again as always. So I look for the flicker and then I click prayer range to change my prayer on the next tick, essentially. It's so hard to, you know, I don't know. I feel bad because I don't know how to explain it the best way even still, but you're always clicking for the thing that you want to happen on the next game tick. So that's one way to look at it, I guess. Most important is that you pray against the major here, of course, because it's like a big damage if you miss it. So worst case, you tank a couple blob hits before you start doing the flicking, but pillars are looking a-okay. We don't have to worry really any about the pillars at this point, so definitely don't panic about the pillars. You know, we can save it when we can, obviously, like we just did, but nothing to panic over. So we're always returning to the Calvino tile right here around the north pillar. It's a very safe tile to start. Here we can drag in the mage. Now here, if you move here, it'll drag things around the pillar a little better so they get caught a little more. And here we can save the pillar while things are stuck in the middle still. We can even do one more cast, I think. So there we just make it easier for ourselves so we don't have to worry about the pillar now. So when things are frozen in the middle, it just makes it really nice for you. You can save some pillars for free a lot of the time. "52 minutes in with 54. It's about a minute away. That's pretty fair, I would say. Not doing anything too crazy. So I probably want to pull this up to the pillar just to make sure, because when we kill it here, then only the range can see us, and that just makes it way easier to not take damage, even if we don't want a Phantom Barrage, because we really don't have to here, but make sure you pray mage just in case that mage got untrapped there, and then obviously make sure the right gear's on, return to the start tile. There's a lot of things to remember, so don't fall asleep here. Okay, so this looks crazy. So don't worry about the pillar is the first thing. Don't worry about the pillar. We're gonna brew up just to be safe. Keep praying against this. This pillar stack is the same as the pillar stack on the other side. We just have to move this way and then pray against the back thing. Don't worry about the pillar. The pillar's gonna kill the nibblers that are on the pillar, so that's gonna solve itself basically. The bats are trapped, so that's not anything to worry about. And then the blob is solved just because we're gonna want to alternate off these basically. Just make sure you don't get off rhythm, obviously. Be very careful. Don't talk during it. Just saying. Okay, nice. We are gaming. So 56 is coming up. That's actually a pretty hard wave for learners, believe it or not. Which is like, mage, range, and 2 blobs, it's actually harder than you'd probably expect for a lot of learners. The reason it's so hard is because the chance you're gonna have to one-tick alternate, or not even have to, but the chance that that's gonna be like the easiest way to solve it is like pretty high, just because there's 2 blobs and there's 2 things to one-tick alternate off of. So you just gotta be careful. So we'll hopefully try to deal with whatever's north, and then we'll try to move to whatever side of the pillar the mage is on, most likely, and do a one-tick alternate. So that's like, we'll see how true that is, but that's my prediction for what the solution's probably gonna be. Well, here the solution's pretty easy. We just kill the mage. We can save the pillar just by doing this. And it's kind of a nice little thing that if you move to that spot to save the pillar, it doesn't move the mage from this spot, so you can re-corner trap it in theory for a wave where there's a melee. But no melee to speak on this wave, so it's nice and easy. We'll just kill the ranger first. You can start the one-tick alternate whenever you feel comfortable. There I did it on the... I started one-tick alternating on the first blob attack, which is another way you can do it. The first blob attack comes one tick before the second ranger attack, if they see you at the same time. So a little confusing, but that is another way you can do it if you want to avoid all damage and get into a one-tick alternate, depending on if you can feel that rhythm out, I guess. Might be hard for some people, but there's other ways you can do it too. If you have to take like a blob hit setting it up, it's not too bad. Again, praying against the back blob because the mini blobs aren't gonna do as much damage. Definitely don't need to turn thick skin on. I don't know. Didn't know how I clicked that. So now we have range, mage, melee, so just want to make sure we avoid damage here, as always. So I tried to time my going around the pillar so that I was safe from the, like, all the damage, I guess. Don't want to take any damage if possible. But obviously the major is by far the most important one to pray against. The ranger, a lot of times your range defense will help you against it, but the major is just way too accurate. Okay, prayer regen for sure. Okay, I'm just camping rigger here. Probably gonna end up brewing, actually. Not at like a safe health to be doing this kind of thing. Turns out they're off-ticked, so we can just use that to our advantage. I see that they're not attacking on the same tick, so we can pray against them. But you see, I use my brew anyway, just because I want to be ultra safe there. This is getting a little risky. Make sure we're full health. And then any one of these waves we can use our first Bastion dose. I usually wait till like 61 or 60, but either one is kind of fine. 59 is even fine because there's 2 bats, so we'll wait though because we don't have a good timing. Here, these things are off-ticked. This is a good thing to know. So the plan is kill these, and then we're gonna go to the spot where we can hit the nibblers from north of the pillar. Now we're just worrying about the big monsters here. We don't really care about the bat too much. Just trying to kill the bat. We can turn rare on just to kill the bats real quick. And now back just to lazy flicking it or keeping it off altogether. If the melee digs here, we can do a little trick that I've shown before, which is go around to the tile one south of the mark tile here, which will actually trap the meleeer. We just have to make sure we're praying it's the ranger as soon as we go around. So because the mage was respawning, we had like a clean, easy timing to do that, which is very nice. Hitting a bunch of 1s on the bat. Stop hitting 1s on the bat. No. Oh my god, if I could hit anything against the bat. Okay, that was fine actually, but the 1s though, what was that? Alright, so make sure we have the armor on. It's wave 60, so we'll pot. So Bastion. That's not great for the pillar health, but not so much we can do about it. Actually, yeah, there is. Or is yeah, I guess there is. I guess we probably should try to save it a little bit. I'm trying to use Augury both to have better hits on the nibblers, hopefully, but also to... Hold on, let's first make sure we trap this blob in the corner like this. Almost moved out from the corner there, it was a little scary. I mean, not really, we could still just tank the blob, obviously, we've shown that before, but... Here, first we just hopefully pray against the blob, but instead we take a max hit, that's great. Alright, it's fine. It's just easier just to kill this than to brew, to be honest. Alright. We're officially safe. Alright, it would have been nice to blood rush that, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so here is a blood barrage moment. Almost didn't pray range in time. Okay, we're making all sorts of mistakes, but here we're gonna make sure we blood barrage, phantom barrage the last hit, get a little extra HP. Probably better off saving prayer than use augury here, I would think. Just to be on the safe side, although actually, never mind, we have like infinite prayer, what am I even talking about? It's actually crazy. Alright, mage pray, make sure we have all our gear on, make sure we have prayer, make sure we're potted still probably. Make sure like probably even like repot if we weren't potted there. Alright, try to finish off this nibbler here because we want to make sure our pillar stays good. Never know what'll happen on the next couple waves, so definitely want to play it on the safe side. So this is the melee safe spot we were talking about earlier on. Obviously, can wait a little longer. You don't have to like do that as fast. You can wait to time that a little bit. Nice, we're full HP, which is good. We're gonna prayer regen because we don't want to be in danger of running out. Not that we would be. I mean, we have 6, but I think we'd be just fine, but even still. So here, we move to this side. It looks a little safer, and we're just gonna kill what we can. Hopefully these are off tick. They're on the same tick. Okay, so we just like got them off tick. So that was so terrifying. I don't know if I got a chance, but it was definitely close. Yeah, I mean, these waves are scary. What else can I say? I mean, that was not an easy spawn by any means. I mean, dealing with those 3 things north basically mean you just can't stay north. So like, there's only so many other options. The options are really go east or go west. So I chose go east here. But not too much in the way of options there, unfortunately. Definitely a hard wave, definitely a hard wave. I wish there was just like an easier solution, but I definitely didn't see it. Maybe, you know, obviously in hindsight I'll probably see something better, but... Alright, so with 63 coming up, we're going to want to make sure we're healing up to full, or as close as we can. That's good enough, I would say. Yeah, you probably might not agree, but... So, main thing to know here is, as always, we're moving into the corner tile for 60 plus, which is really important to make sure we're just avoiding all the damage we can from as many things off spawn. Don't want to be taking damage from that monster that spawns there. It doesn't really matter even what it is in most cases. So if you move all the way north here, there's a little trick. Well, I mean, first of all, this spot, but then also all the way north means that the ranger will move into this little slot here. And then we can actually isolate the mage on this side, which is very nice. Yeah, so I mean, I'm sorry to make you guys nervous in the last couple of waves, but you know, that's just how it goes sometimes. Especially on like 63 and 62. By far the 2 hardest ones. Yeah, and you know, if you don't get to this point as fast as you'd like, don't be discouraged, because it is quite hard at the end of the day. Like, you know, I have a lot of experience, so that's kind of why I'm making it out to be not as hard as it is, but obviously you just saw you saw how those last couple waves go, so I mean you saw it too, just saying. Just putting it out there. It's not easy, it's not easy. But keep at it and you can do it. I 100%, I have faith in whoever's watching this that you can do it. Just gotta learn all the little things and put them together. So this ranger is gonna get corner trapped here, which is very nice. We can just wait this out here. Nothing wrong with waiting it out. The do nothing strategy. And what do we do here? How about nothing? And then we attack this guy. Easy. We will want to try to kill the mage before the range ideally, so we will try to do that. Pretty much the end of the hard parts of the waves. Obviously, it's not all said and done just yet, because 65 can still be kind of rough. Can also get some weird pillar stacks, which can make it a little difficult. But not the hardest overall. Nothing really too bad to worry about. We are DCing. No, we're DCing. Oh no, we're back. Holy. Okay, they're off tick. They're off ticked. Oh my god, we're alive. This is incredible. That was terrifying. I didn't even know what to say or think there. That was absolutely terrifying. I hope my NPC markers come back. It'd be nice. I can live without them, but I would like them back. So 65 is a little scary, as I was saying. We will repot here, just because we want to be potted anyway for Jads, and good to have the defense. Alright, nice. Everything's back to normal. Wow, that was... Hope that was a server thing. It wasn't me, but... Hopefully we can make it to the end here. Probably easier just to do the pillar stack first. And if we move to this side of the pillar, then the other ranger can't bother us, which is probably the best course of action here. I thought we were dead on that DC. That was actually just terrifying. Especially on like a wave like, you know, late 60s, it's not where you want to see a DC. So we will make sure to prayer regen again. Probably one of our last doses we're gonna use. We'll probably use like one more dose. And then this wave is just mages, so we can kind of get in the middle. We have so much prayer left. Like when you have 4 prayer potions at this point and prayer regens ticking, you can easily just afford to camp your prayers now. Obviously be a little careful with it. You know, if it's really your first cape, you probably just want to be a little conservative even still. I'm just gonna camp them just to show you. This is potentially a mistake because the mage can revive the other mage, but I'm hoping that this pillar dying will help me enough. Let's go. We did it. Alright, so Jads, we're just gonna focus up here. We're gonna probably tag the healers just one by one with the tbow just to make it very easy. Yeah, so this, as you can see, this is like really nice. We're able to trap everything really nicely here. And you just want to bash and pot whenever you really need to at this point. Obviously don't, like, try as best as you can not to waste any doses, but just use them as needed, really. I'm just gonna like repot here, go to here to the start tile for triples and focus up. So now I like to move in line with like the west side of the Jad. Doesn't actually matter which one you start by doing, but just make sure you keep praying against them. Obviously, I'm almost messing up talking, so. I think I'm traumatized by 61 through 63 on the escape, or was it six? I think it was just 62 and 63. I'm like, I am not trying to make another mistake, or actually, it's kind of like the DC. That was like, it was rough, man. I thought we were dead, and then we were alive, so it was kind of crazy. But alas, we are alive. If it was a first cape attempt, it would be kind of crazy to have a DC like that. Oh my god. Alright, on to Zuck now. Almost there. One more small hit. Come on. We can brew up here. Probably worth to start brewed up. You want to be Bastion, but it's okay. We're going to get our first hit off on Bastion, and then we're going to make sure we pot up. So this time the shield started mage side. So when the shield goes back to the mage side all the way, it's going to spawn the set. So for when it goes this side, we're going to want to tag the mage and then try to kill the ranger when it goes to that side. So we're going to be tanking the ranger a little bit here. You don't have to like super hardcore rush to tag the things. Make sure you tag the mage pretty quick, but just make sure you're going to the right spot, and then you want to wait for Zuck to do this hit, because now you can move to the ranger. And you want to get behind this next Zuck safe spot. So that's like kind of the hardest part. You want to make sure you finish this off, hopefully around this part, and then get back on the boss. We saw he already did his thing there, so we can move all the way to this spot, and then now we're moving to the next spot. So it's always moving towards the next safe spot. And in theory, because our DPS has been pretty good, we can probably not wait for a second set before healers, but if you want to just be like 100% sure, like if you have enough supplies going in, which I would say we do, and you just want to be 100% sure, then you can honestly just wait for the second set every time, because it's not like it's gonna lose you the cape or anything waiting that second set. If anything, it's just making it safer, so that's my spiel on that. So if we're gonna wait, we're just probably gonna wait, because now we're like making a bunch of misses, so we'll see how our hits go, but looks like we're, you know, as I say that. So now we're under 600, so we kill the mage. Prayer regen, which is definitely going to be our last dose for the run. And now next, obviously, coming up is Jad, so 480 is Jad. Try to keep up with the safe spots again. Don't lag behind. And remember, when Zuck healers spawn, just remember that the safe spots are no longer the only safe spots. Sometimes it'll hit in the middle, so just be very careful. But here, we can just always run to the next safe spot. Yeah, I'm confusing myself now. You know, just here early on, you can always run to the next safe spot. Post Zuck healers, you just want to make sure you're staying with the shield always, and not necessarily just running straight to the next safe spot. So here we can just run to the next safe spot because it's early, but later on, be careful. Tag Jad, stay on the next safe spot until you see Zuck attack. And then we're just going to make sure we pray against the Jad here. Sometimes in the healer spawn, it's easier to put your wand on and just cast at the clump of them, because there's like usually just all three of them in a clump, so depends on what you feel most comfortable with. But there I just did a one-way swap, which was pretty easy. I saw Zuck attack, so I'm moving to the next safe spot, and I'm looking for Jad's attack. It's a lot to think about, but as long as you're constantly paying attention, you'll be good. You only have to pray against the Jad, so only mostly worry about that. And then move to the, you know, your movement to the right spot will save you from Zuck, obviously. Not sure when we attack there, so just playing it a little safe. Here we have taken quite a while, so we are just gonna wait. Yeah, I missed a bunch of ticks and stuff, so we'll just wait a second set just to be like super safe. It's probably not necessary, but we'll just ensure our safety. Want to maybe avoid using a little bit of run. That's like one thing you'd want to consider when waiting for this next set, because I mean, in theory we should be fine, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about it. I'm probably overthinking it a little bit, but I have to be a little mindful of it at this point. 40 is plenty though. We do want to get it a little lower. Could probably max like a 70 or an 80, so we're just gonna, I think it's like a 70. 62, okay, so that's pretty big. Want to be careful, I probably don't want to risk that. So 240 is the threshold, so we are 55 off. I don't know if I can hit that without rigor. I don't know if I want to try. I mean, I could like take anguish off and stuff, but I don't know. Like, it's a little sketchy. I think I'll just wait. So can save a little run if we wanna, but it's like not a huge deal. I'm using control plus click to walk, and that's making it so I'm walking instead of running just to save a little bit of run, but I mean, we have plenty honestly at this point because we're gonna get the next set soon, so just in case it spawns like now, I'll just get ready. As you can see, we really didn't have to wait for a set, but the point I'm trying to prove is just you really can if you want to. Like, it's really not gonna end the run, and it'll just make it safe every time, so kind of nice to do in my opinion. Up to you though. Like, if you feel like, especially if you have a tbow, if you have like max gear and stuff, then probably just send the healers, you know, deal with another set after healers if you have to. Like, waiting's pretty cool though. Wait, nothing bad with waiting though. So try to kill this ranger quick. We don't want to use our specs here. This is like a pretty important thing actually. Okay, not completely necessary, not completely necessary. Okay, so hold on, we're gonna wait for the next corner to proc it. The reason why we're leaving the major alive is because we're gonna kill Zuck before the next set. Or we're kind of like betting that we're gonna, pretty much. And we're just gonna avoid having to use not blowpipe specs. We're gonna have to avoid using... Oh, this is like impossible to proc this. How are we gonna do this? Just start hitting it now? Oh, that's not gonna proc it, is it? Okay, nice. So now any hit now. Alright, we're doing a little zigzag in here to make sure we keep hitting them. When you first hit them, you can't hit the same one like twice in a row. So that's why I'm moving between two there. Try to make sure you don't misclick, it's really important. So there's no healers on that side at least, which is nice. So we've made good progress. Sucks that that one didn't die. We are going to heal up here just to be safe, and then we have one more hit on that one, hopefully. So we're just trying to figure out how to kill them as fast as possible, because then as soon as they're dead, then they're no longer really an issue. So we're pretty much guaranteed, because we proc the healers nice and we stop them from healing Zuck too much, we're all but guaranteed to finish now. So we just don't want to run ahead now. This is what I was talking about earlier. Their healers have spawned, so it's a little bit different. The the tiles in the far corner are like, this is the farthest that you have to go, so that still remains the same, but it's not necessarily a safe spot like the same way. Alright, and that's it. Sub 90 quote unquote first cape. Hope you guys enjoyed. Just a chill Inferno run, and I'm just really glad to be back with another Inferno run. It feels like it's been forever, even though it's only been like a little over a month, so yeah, just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but really glad to bring you guys that one. Hope it helps, and leave a comment if I helped you get your first cape, because those are like my favorite comments ever, and yeah. Just glad to be back with another Inferno video and expect more in the future from me. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.